Hi, podcast fans. I'm Maddie Stout, and I love podcasts so much that I started my own podcast called Access Podcast. It's the podcast about podcasts. Each week, I have conversations with some of the world's greatest podcasters, and I try to help you find new stuff to listen to. There are over 700,000 podcasts in the world, and my goal is to help you find your next podcast to binge. Season 3 of Access Podcast is up now. Listen and subscribe at Apple Podcasts or on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Now,
this is Incredible Health with Dr. David Vitko.
Good morning, my friends. You're listening to Enjoy Incredible Health. I'm your host and guide along the path to incredible health, Dr. David Vitko, a chiropractic physician with 34 years experience in practice. So we're going to be open to some callers this morning. I don't have a pressing schedule. I got a few things I want to definitely get through, but basically I'm going to be kind of tying some loose ends together, hopefully. But if you feel the need to call and you want to talk to me about a health issue that you have and you're not afraid to talk about it on the air, you're welcome to call. The number is 330-729-9977. That's 729-9977. And we'll get going here today. I want to take a moment this morning to thank my producer, Jake Capizzuto. Today's Jake's last day with us, and it's a sad day for me. Jake's moving on bigger and better things, I hope. And he's been a tremendous help to me since I've been here, even though, I mean, he really just kind of started during my time here at WKBN. And but he's done a fantastic job for me, and he's helped me on the back end with my internet things. And Jake's just a bright young guy. He's got a bright future. So thanks so much, Jake. I appreciate it. And so we're going to move on now to some things that I want to cover today. So first, I want to get through basically a monologue, if I can. So let's talk about conscious eating for a moment. When you eat, do you ever stop to give thought to what you're putting into your mouth? So I mean it. I'm serious. It sounds silly. And, you know, that may be where the prayer idea came from. In giving thanks for the food that we have, to give you pause, to make you think. Now, they weren't thinking about maybe the things that I'm talking about, and that is, I want you to think about, what you eat is absolutely, unequivocally, and without a doubt, going to either have a positive or negative effect on your body, possibly for years to come. So I don't like to talk about myself, but I'm going to use myself as an example because I live as an example to what I think people should do. Wow, I know that's like pretty powerful and scary stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't have said that 20 years ago in my life, but I truly do try to eat and live in a way that is an example to others. It may not be perfect, but it's pretty good, and I found that it works very well, and it's been fantastic in restoring my own health. I can't tell you how strongly I believe in this. I'm devoting my life to it. That's what a difference it's made in my life. So I've been working on getting my weight and fat percentage to their ideal numbers. You may have heard me say on the air with Dr. David Katz that I like to push the limit for myself. I don't do this with my patients, but I push myself to the limit of what I can do. So I've got my weight down to 167 pounds now. The last time I weighed this was probably 8th or 9th grade. And, of course, my body was a lot different back then. But over the past month that I've lost fat that's been stored in my body since I was a kid. So do you realize how much life was sucked out of my potential over all those years carrying around that extra fat on my body? I'm serious about that. So this fat possibly was deposited when I was 6 or 7 or 8 years old, or who knows, maybe even less, I don't know. Is that a strange thing to think about? That you're carrying around fat on your body that's been there your whole life, has never been used, and maybe never will. But it's not an inert product sitting there. It's not something that is sits there. It's not like it's been placed in a locker and left there until you need it someday and you open the locker and take it out. It needs some kind of maintenance, and the body has to maintain that. So think about how much extra stress was placed on my heart to supply blood and oxygen to all those fat cells to keep them from basically going rancid, if you will, on my body. It's been estimated that we have an extra 7 miles of blood supply, of capillaries, the finest blood supply, to supply each pound of fat, extra fat on our body. 7 miles. So for me, over the past 10 years, I've trimmed off 63 pounds. That's 441 miles of blood vessels my heart no longer has to pump blood through. The body resorbs that extra circulation. It's not needed. Just like the body creates new capillary circulation when you need more. It's a phenomenal thing. The body is just miraculously designed. By God, I'll say. Some people might argue with that, but so be it. So on top of that, all those years that I've been making poor dietary choices, and I drank maybe too much beer, too many sodas, and ate sweets, my blood actually was thicker than is healthy. So to flow freely, your blood needs to be naturally thin. So it's been said that if you take aspirin, it thins your blood. That's not really true. It doesn't necessarily thin your blood. It keeps it from clotting. They know that. So do the clotting medications that you take, anti-clotting medications. And that's a dangerous line that you walk when you take that. I believe that the natural route is a much better way to go. Now, you don't want to quit any of that, anything your doctor tells you to do as far as keeping your blood thin, because it's probably keeping you alive at this point. It means that you had a problem with clotting at some point and they thought you needed this. And so you want to follow your doctor's advice. But you can also start working on the back end and eating more fruits and vegetables, which is the natural blood thinner. That's the natural, and it's very powerful. Do not belittle it. I believe it is the way to go because it thins your blood naturally, actually makes it flow better, keeps the platelets and the blood cells from sticking together, which makes your blood essentially thicker and harder to flow through the capillaries. But it still maintains all your clotting factors normally. So you're not going to die from an internal bleed, which often happens, with things like Plavix and Coumadin and different drugs like that thin your blood, that actually stop the clotting of your blood. So all those years I made those bad choices, and my blood was actually thicker than it should be. Plus, I was making it flow through an extra 450 miles of circulation. It's unbelievable, the stress that I put on my body. I feel blessed to have survived long enough to figure out that I need to change and that God gave me the wisdom to see what I needed to do. It reminds me of that old saying I heard from a Polish bricklayer once. Too soon old, too late smart. But it wasn't too late. I figured it out, and I didn't kick off early. That's a good thing. So God also gave me the motivation to make the necessary changes. I saw what I needed to do. I worked at it gradually. It took me years, folks. It took me years to have the confidence in this whole food, plant-based diet to actually go in 100%. It wasn't like I saw it, I read it somewhere, and I put it into action, and I stayed with it. It was back and forth, a little bit here, a little bit there. I wasn't going to give up meat. God, I was raised on meat. Every meal, there was some kind of meat. That was the foundation of a good diet, supposedly. And I'm telling you that the people that said that either didn't know what they were talking about or they had some ulterior motive like selling a lot of beef or chicken or whatever, or processed foods. So I figured out how to turn terrible health into reliable, incredible health. And that's why I feel the confidence to be here and teach you about this. Urging you to change your diet and lifestyle before it's too late. God, I sound like a preacher now. I don't want to do that. But, you know, when you believe fully in something, when you've seen it, when you've witnessed it, when it's been a part of your life, it's hard to hold back. It's hard not to preach. You know, I meet so many people that I truly feel badly for, and I try to help everybody I meet. I don't jump in and preach it to everybody, but if they ask, I help, I offer. And that's kind of the price you pay for this knowledge. And I see that in all these guys, all these experts that I've had on the show, and more of them I know are the same way that I'm going to have on the show in the future. I'm trying to get Dr. Dean Ornish on here, and Dr. Neil Bernard, Dr. Esselstyn, and a few other people like that who I know are just top-notch doctors who really understand the value of this plant-based diet. And they all, everyone I've met in this field, has a giving heart. These are all people who want to share freely of this knowledge, and they really, truly do try to spread the message. And, you know, a lot of them make their living this way, or some of them are researchers, scientific researchers, you know, medical researchers, and some of them still practice, very few, but, you know, they have other lives, but they take time out to share that with you, and that impresses me so much. But that is the nature of this. Once you know it, you really want to help others. So I'm going to take time out, and I'm going to take a phone call. We've got Bill here. Hi, Bill. It's Dr. Vitko. How can I help you?
Good morning, Dr. Vitko. I'm sorry that I missed your show or parts of it because my ride comes for church, and I'm watching for it now, but I think I have a few minutes. You know, the more I learn through people like you, I do think that we should do more plant-based, and even if it's just because of the terrible conditions of the meatpacking industry, that alone I think is cruelty, and that should encourage people to try to go with plants. But I hear a lot about our modern agriculture, that it is designed to appeal to the eye, and it has little nutritional value. So couldn't it be that a lot of people think they're eating healthy and they're really not getting that much nutrition?
Oh, you hit the nail on the head there, Bill. It's there's no question that foods are designed to appeal to the eye and make us make decisions based on that. That's why all the packaging in the grocery stores are, you know, so colorful, and every meal on every package looks perfect. And a lot of times that's actually plastic that they've dressed up for the photograph that they took. And so many times not even real foods. So yeah, I do believe that you're right in that regard. And I think that if you know, it's a simple thing of going more toward whole foods. I do 90 to 95% of my shopping in the produce section in the grocery store. And truly, I try not to spend time in a grocery store. I try to go to farm markets, especially this time of year. Oh, the melons are tremendous now this time of year. And I eat primarily melon a lot of days. And, you know, and every other kind of produce there is, the lettuce and the green vegetables are coming in, tomatoes. So, you know, don't worry about all that. You know, there's a lot of farmers out where I live, and they're wonderful people, and they do a spectacular job in farming, and they take care of their animals. And, you know, there is that factor of the meat industry and things like that. And, you know, even if animals are well cared for, I can't help personally to think, you know, I don't necessarily need that meat for health. As a matter of fact, that meat subtracts health from my body, even healthfully raised meat. And so why would I eat it? And so, and an animal has to die for that. And, you know, So we're saying, okay, well, maybe that animal wouldn't have had life in the beginning had we not, raised them for food. And maybe that's true, too. There's all kind of philosophical arguments. I just know what works for me. But, hey, listen, have a great day at church, and thanks so much for listening, all right? See you, Bill.
Thank you, Doctor. You have a good day.
Take care. So, I want to get back to this thing about, this thoughtful eating. And so all those years I made poor dietary choices and put a lot of stress on my heart and lungs. I really, truly feel blessed to have survived that long and have developed this motivation to help people understand the gravity of the situation. And there really, truly is urgency in this, folks. If you don't start to make change, your health can continue on a downward slide. From the time we're born, actually from before we're born, because when we're in the womb, how our mother eats absolutely influences our health, both at the present time when we're in the womb and after we're born. It sets us up for a lifetime of health or struggles many times, because then we're raised in a family where those dietary factors are followed, what people typically eat for, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever, like me. I was raised in a family where we had meat, cheese, some kind of, desserts every meal. We were allowed to have soda, things like that. It was because the powers that be recommended, hey, this is okay. This is a good way to live. And we were all misled, let me tell you, big time. But it all starts in the womb. So if you're pregnant right now, think about your child's future and try to include lots of fruits and vegetables in your diet. You'll make a tremendous difference in their life. Tremendous, because you're giving them a head start. You're giving them the healthiest blood possible to start their life. So when I think about the pain, suffering, and misery that families endure, basically because, we have this craving for things like pizza and hot dogs and steak and cake, or a six-pack of that microbrewery beer, it's really not worth it. I know it's hard for me to convince you that it's that simple, because it's not a one-for-one exchange. You don't eat the pizza and, notice health issues right away. Although acne is an example of pizza and soda and different types of, sweet foods too, can actually cause acne. Dairy is probably the biggest cause of acne issues, in my opinion. But how those choices that we make, moment by moment, morsel by morsel, drop by drop of things even that we drink, can affect us for years to come. Whether it's depositing extra fat on your body that you'll never use, that requires maintenance and puts stress on your body, or that you're thickening your blood to the point at which its flow is slowed to a crawl around your body. And so oxygen delivery to all your cells is slowed, getting in the way of you thriving and making it so all you can do is survive instead of thrive. That's the difference. So it's each morsel, each drop, they're all important. So, every choice can also be the difference between life or sudden death. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? I mean, there is an immediate payback in some respects. When you have thick, slow-flowing blood and you overindulge, let's say on Thanksgiving dinner, which is not that far away, the extra fat that's created by the high intake of fat and sugar and maybe alcohol, at your meal, is put into your blood by the liver for later processing. It's the liver can't handle all of that load that we put in, because let's face it, in this country we are gluttonous. The meals that we eat are obscene. Instead of eating for our health, I don't know. We're eating to, store energy up for the next generation, I guess, because We eat way too much. That's the biggest problem. And we eat the wrong things. But this sudden extra thickening of your blood by that big, say, Thanksgiving meal or Christmas meal or even a 4th of July meal or something, it essentially thickens your blood and increases the pressure needed to pump it around your body. And it does that very quickly, actually within minutes. So if you have a weak heart or slowed blood flow to the heart, that could be the proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back. That very well may cause so much extra stress on your heart to make that the last Thanksgiving meal you ever see. I don't want that to happen to any of my listeners or anybody. It shouldn't. It's ridiculous. The number of heart attacks and strokes in this country that take lives prematurely is totally ridiculous. And it's all put on our health leadership, in my opinion. We do have great leaders who are out there, pounding the drum, beating the drum, and trying to lead people down the right road. Guys like Dr. Katz and Dr. McDougall and Dr. Merkin and Bernard and Esselstyn and, Furman and all these guys, Dr. Ornish, all these guys have in many ways stuck their neck out to try to change healthcare, because believe me, there are a lot of medical doctors who would like to chop their heads off because they're leading people down a path away from modern medicine and away from modern medical treatment as a necessity. It's not a necessity in many cases. This whole food, plant-based diet is powerful medicine. And used properly, it can get you healthy enough to where your doctors will say, you don't need that prescription medication anymore. Your cholesterol is so good, you don't need this cholesterol medication. Or your blood pressure is improved dramatically, or your weight, I can't believe you've lost 30 or 40 pounds. But it doesn't happen behind the scenes. You don't wake up one day and you're 30 pounds lighter because the fat fairy stopped at your house and took some of the fat off your body. It's not going to happen. You have to make the effort. You have to make the decision. And I'm trying to convince you that that's the most important thing you can do in your life to ensure that you're not going to spend every dime you ever made and have to sell your house and have to end up in a nursing home because you can't even walk in your older years, and you need help. And God bless those people that are in a nursing home. I'm not criticizing. I'm trying to wake the rest of you up so you understand it's not that far away. It's right down the road. And you've got the keys to either going down that path or heading down the path I'm going to talk about in the second half of the show, which is the straight and narrow path to health and to life. And we need that if we don't make that conscious decision to change course. It's going to catch up with us one day. And you need to recognize that, and you need to make changes now. So you can go to my website anytime for this show and listen to any of these shows. I encourage you to immerse yourself in this, and it'll become part of you. Go to drvitcohealth.com. You can listen to any of the podcasts anytime for free. You can also hear them on the free iHeart app as well. We'll be back in just a few minutes, folks. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Incredible Health with Dr. David Vitko.
Alrighty, time to get into the second half of the show. And the first thing I want to do is make an announcement. You've heard me say in the past, I'm sure, folks, that we need to help others. To me, that's what life is all about, because it's what gives us the greatest joy. I don't care what kind of curmudgeon you are. When you help other people, it gives you a good feeling inside. No doubt about it. And I've recognized this, I guess, since I was a kid. I think I saw my dad and my parents help other people, and that's why it's always stuck with me. But so we need to really try to reach out and help other people when we can. It's not easy to know what to do all the time, but here's one of those situations that makes it really easy. Nisi and I have some good friends in Columbiana who are going through some really tough times. Dave and Diane Graft have both been diagnosed with cancer, husband and wife. Diane just recently found that her ovarian cancer has returned after successfully treating it the first time, and Dave is undergoing treatment for colon cancer, and they're having a really difficult time. So anyone who has seen one person go through cancer treatment knows how painful and challenging it can be. Now imagine both husband and wife going through it at once. No one should have to go through this kind of pain and ordeal, but it happens. So they're incredibly strong people, and we're all praying that they'll beat the cancer and enjoy many healthy years together. And but as you can imagine, treating cancer in two people in the same family can be pretty difficult, psychologically, physically, and financially. So some good friends have put together a benefit dinner on August 11th. Please write this down and try to help out if you can. There's a benefit dinner on August 11th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Columbiana High School. The dinner includes spaghetti, salad, bread, and desserts. And there will be a Chinese auction and a 50-50 raffle. So, if you're into that kind of thing, it's really pretty cool, and I'm sure it's going to be a good prize. So there's going to be great fellowship, and it's at a nice location, a really great cause. I love Columbiana High School. I was actually on the school board when we built that school, and pretty proud of it. It's a beautiful school, and it's a nice place to have this. The price is $8 for adults and $5 for kids. And you can eat in or take out, but I recommend you stay and enjoy the raffles and the fellowship. It'll be a good time for all. And I'm asking you to help out, folks. Mark your calendar, August 11th, 4 to 6 p.m. at Columbiana High School, 720 Columbiana Waterford Road in Columbiana, Ohio. And Dave and Diane will really appreciate it, I'm sure. If you have any questions, you can call Lori Moultrie at 330-853-0807. That's Lori Moultrie. I know Lori. She's a very nice lady. And the number is 330-853-0807. And thanks so much. And I'll announce that again probably in the next couple of weeks. Although July is slipping away, is it not? It's amazing how fast it's going. So I want to mention one more thing before I get back into what I'm talking about, and that is the spinal decompression treatment that I use in my office. Listen, if you have back pain that's just not going away, if you've been told you have degenerative discs, or if you have even been told that you have a slipped disc, which is a slang term for a herniated or a bulging disc, this treatment can do wonders to take the pressure off the nerves. If you have pain down the leg, down the arm, oftentimes we can relieve that pain and help that disc at least head down the road to repairing itself a little faster. And many times we do this treatment in conjunction with oral steroids from your physician, or even if you're having epidurals. All these things can work together in many ways to help relieve that pressure. So yeah, I'm all about being as healthy as you can, but when your back's up against the wall because you have a disc issue or you have degenerated discs and you have chronic pain because your facet joints are getting rubbed together more than they should and you're getting, this inflammation in your spine, spinal decompression is a good option. And it's basically, you can come into the first visit and I'll include my exam and the first treatment. We'll see how you do on it. If you're a candidate for it, for only $60. That's a great deal, and it's worth way more than that, and I spend a lot of time, and I make sure you're a good candidate for it. So spinal decompression, you call my office for an appointment, 330-482-9550. Same number I've had for over 30 years. It's 482-9550, and Nisi and I are there pretty much all the time in the week, and we're not going anywhere. We've been there a long time, and we have a beautiful office, and we love Columbiana. So I want to just one more note. Look, if you are really trying to get healthy, go to my website and listen to some of the old shows. I'm sure you haven't heard all of them. I know some folks miss the shows when they go to church and things like that. You can hear the whole show for free, any of them. There's probably 35 of them on there by now. We're coming up on a year now that I've been on the air. It's incredible how fast that time goes. But my website is drvitkohealth.com. That's DRVITKO health.com. And all of the shows are on there as podcasts, and you can listen for free. Immerse yourself. It'll become part of you, and you'll naturally gravitate toward eating healthy foods. That's the difference. That's what I do with my patients. I help them learn to make the right choices, and it's trial and error for a lot of people. Sometimes people don't understand. I've had a patient come in and bring me boxes of things. How's this? I always say, well, look, your first hint that this might not be so good is the fact that it comes in a box. You need to lean toward the whole foods, fresh whole foods from the produce section mainly. And if you're going to buy box things, read on the box. And this patient's a gem, and she really does work at that, but it can be deceiving. Sometimes they look healthy on the face of the box, and when you read about it, they're 50% fat or more, which is not healthy. And the fact that it has to be processed in a way to put in a box, if it's not some kind of grain or something that is, pretty stable in a box anyway on the shelf, then you're taking your life in your hands eating that every day. You might be eating that morsel of something that's going to inhibit your health for years to come, or maybe a lifetime, because of the way it affects your circulation and the health of your cells. It's not as simple as eating for energy. I've been thinking about this lately. When you eat something like melon, that's primarily energy. It is carbohydrates. There's no question about it, but it's healthy carbohydrates. And that's what our body's designed to thrive on. And so, but if you eat something out of a box, I guarantee you there's extras in there to preserve it in most cases. So be very cautious about what you eat. But drvitkohealth.com is a great source. I've got some articles that I've written myself on there, and they're little preludes to the new book that I'm working on now, which you're all going to want. I'm telling you, folks, because I am coalescing. I'm pulling together information that'll make the case for a whole food, plant-based diet, and to show you how powerful it is with some of the cases I've seen and with some of the doctors that I've interviewed and their health. And we're going to prove it without a doubt which food is right. You hear every day, oh, you can eat a keto diet and be healthy. You can eat a paleo diet and be healthy. You can eat the South Beach diet. You can eat this diet, that diet. They're not all equal, folks. It's not that way. Scientific research can be nitpicked, and studies can be chosen to support this or that because in some little way they have some demonstrable benefit, supposedly, or at least chemically in the body. We see that with these drugs. Well, they're not even drugs. They're supplements that supposedly help you to think more clearly, and I know the name of it. I'm not going to say it because I'll get myself in trouble here, but I am criticizing these because the science is so weak that supports that. As a matter of fact, I just saw an article in Consumer Reports lately that demonstrated that there was no benefit to these things whatsoever. So if you're trying to keep yourself from getting Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or whatever, or any of the dementias, by taking these supplements or by doing crossword puzzles all the time, you're wasting your money and time. Keeping your brain active is a good thing. You should do things to stimulate your brain. The supplements, there's no proof that any of them work in my opinion. And you can take that to the bank, but I'm telling you what makes the difference in keeping you sharp is how you feed your body day in and day out. It's that every morsel and every drop attitude. Does that mean you have to be perfect? No, but you got to be a whole lot better than you are right now, trust me. Because I've been down this path. I've had terrible health, and now I have phenomenal health at 60. I'm healthier at 60 than I ever was in my 20s. And you can do the same for yourself. Why wouldn't you? So to do that, there's a path that you need to find. That's what I'm going to talk about now. But if you want to call in, I can take another phone call. Number's 330-729-9977. That's 729-9977. And I'll squeeze one more call in before the end of the show if we can. But there's this path, folks, and this is the path that I've really gotten onto, and I'm not perfect. I'll never try to make it look like I'm perfect. I am human. You'll see me drink a cold beer once in a while. You know, you probably won't see me eat any steak, or, you know, I shy away from too much cheese and things like that. Those are treats for me that are highly unusual, but I do them occasionally because I'm human and I love to enjoy food. But I also know the limitations that should be in place that can maintain superior health, incredible health, if you want it. And all you have to do is develop this conscious way of eating. And you need to be on the path. Remember, I told you the Bible verse, Matthew 7:13-14, and Jesus said, "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction." Wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction. That means that this is the path that everybody follows, through the wide gate and wide road. And many people are headed for destruction, health-wise, too. Many enter through it, but small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. And this rings so true for me, because I meet so many people who want good health, but they're not willing to put the effort into it to do what it takes to earn that good health. Because it's a narrow path. At least for a while, you have to tread a very narrow path to restore your health. When you get to that point where you're enjoying better health, you can take some liberties from time to time. But, you know, I know that Bible verse is, you know, there's preachers cringing because I'm using it for health. I don't care. There was, whatever your view of Jesus, whether he was our Savior or just a really smart guy, Jesus knew things and talked about things that he had no way of knowing or understanding had he not had more knowledge than we could ever imagine. Back in those days, think about it. You know, he talked about things back then that we just are now proving to be true in many ways. It's incredible. You have to at least, you know, listen to what Jesus said because of that, if nothing else. I heard a guy the other day on television, on the news, who is an agnostic, who, you know, he's not necessarily a non-believer, but he just has, you know, he has questions, basically, and more of a scientific type guy. But he was very logical about this, and I know he shares my opinion on that. He didn't say so, but I'll bet he sees the amount of knowledge that Jesus had. So that narrow path, it applies to health. And when you travel down that narrow path for a long enough period of time, you can totally restore your health. Your body is so miraculously designed to heal itself that all you have to do is remove the stupid roadblocks we all put into our body that stops it from healing. You know, in many ways, what we do dietarily is like if you had a cut on your finger, and every day it's healing, but every day you tear it back open. And why would you do that? You know, you're going to try to stimulate healing. You put a Band-Aid on. So why don't we put a Band-Aid on our diet for a while and help it to heal our body? You know, because when you do things that insult your body, that interfere with that healing process, that's what changes the whole dynamic of health in our body. If you are every day eating things. Let's say you have an ulcer in your stomach, and every day you're eating things that cause, a huge amount of acid production, like meat and things that, require a lot of breakdown of food in order to digest it properly. You're going to put a lot of stress on that. That acid is going to keep irritating that ulcer. So why not back off for a while? And that's the idea of the bland diet that a lot of people use for ulcers. If you give it long enough and you work on a bland diet long enough, you're going to facilitate healing in that ulcer, and you get back to some semblance of normal. And then you can go on about your life and eat the foods you want and create another ulcer if you want. That's what it really comes down to. But it's that whole idea of stepping out of the way and allowing the body to heal. And that is a challenge because we can't see that healing process. You may feel slight differences week to week, but many times significant things, like ulcers, for instance, or, like gallstones, or inflamed gallbladder, or, digestive disorders. Now, I see people that think that, well, if I just eat this one food, it'll change the whole picture. No, it doesn't work that way. It's not that simple. Once you have symptoms, you've been on the wrong path for so long to cause that irritation in your body, and you think that it's like tightening up a bolt on a machine, that it's going to fix it instantly. Nah. Not going to happen. But if you persist with a good diet over a long period of time, your body's going to heal. This is Dr. David Vitko, and you are listening to Enjoy Incredible Health. We're going to be back in a couple of minutes to finish up. Thanks so much, folks.
Welcome back to Incredible Health with Dr. David Vitko.
Okay, we just have a couple of minutes to finish up here, and so I want to make a plea to you here, folks. Please ask your friends and family to listen to this show. You might have noticed I put a lot of effort into this, a lot of passion into it. I believe deeply in this cause, in that we all have the ability to be so much healthier. And you don't have to be a martyr in the way you eat. I thoroughly enjoy the foods that I eat. I promise you. Yeah, it took some adaptation. It took time to beat the old habits back. That's the tough part. But I'm asking you to get your friends and family to listen to the show. We need to spread the word, and we need to live as examples to other people. That's how movements get started, and that's how they get propelled. Think about the things, if I know many of you are in your 60s and 70s and 80s out there. If you have children or grandchildren, who are of the age where there's pregnancies involved and things like that, it is so important for those pregnant ladies to eat healthfully and to feed the kids fruits and vegetables. I'm amazed at how many parents think that, my child gets fruit juice, that's good enough. That's not good enough. As a matter of fact, fruit juice is no better than a soda in many ways, because it's devoid of any kind of fiber that you would get if you ate the whole fruit. They need to eat whole fruits. They need to eat whole vegetables. And we need to work together to try to get everyone on board and moving in the right direction. I don't care if all you did was, eat a big pile of broccoli with every dinner. You've at least made some movement, and you've moved the needle a tiny bit on the healthometer. You know what I'm saying? That you're moving in the right direction. And so, if we just make that effort and we live as an example to other people, it's even better if you can live closer to what I do now and try to be a really good example to people. It rubs off, I promise you. Everyone will notice, and they'll ask you questions, and that will give you a chance to refer them to drvitkohealth.com, where they can hear the answers. Hey, it's been great sharing time with you. I look forward to next week, and we're going to have some great guests coming up in the next few weeks. Dr. David Vitko. See you, folks.